Italian Football Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Questions from the Italian Football Podcast Patrons, where you, our patrons, decide what the show is about by simply sending in your questions via Patreon, DM on Patreon, rather. I'm joined, as always, by Carlo Garganese. We have almost 30 questions, short ones, so thank you for following the new format, and thank you for everyone for sending only on DM on Patreon. It makes it so much easier, and it also allows us to answer more of your questions. Let's start with the first one, which has been sent in from CJ Barile. He says, crazy Italian football presidents are a dying breed. You could argue Napoli president Aurelio de Laurentiis is the last of his kind. What are your favorite Aurelio de Laurentiis quotes? I know which one yours is.
Well, there's so many. There's
I
so
know which
many.
one yours is.
There's so many of
definitely know.
these. There's so many of these, Nima, that I feel like every single one of the best ones deserves their own story. They're all that good, and I feel like all of these will go viral on social media. Like they're that good if you haven't heard of them. So the best one of all is, it's not even close, is it? The best one. And I remember this well because I was working for Goal at the time, and it was when Napoli came back into Serie A, and they had a group of really talented young players. They had Marc Hamza, they had Ezequiel Lavezzi, they had Walter Gargano. Who else did they have? Cavani came afterwards as well. It was a fantastic Gökhan Inler. It was a fantastic group of players. They were doing really well at the top of Serie A, and they started to attract a lot of interest from all these players from the Premier League, especially, but clubs around Europe. And it was the player in question that brought about this legendary quote from Aurelio de Laurentiis was Marc Hamza. Marc Hamza was the subject of interest from a number of top Premier League clubs. I think it might have been Liverpool that wanted to sign him. Yeah. And so it was all over the media that, you know, Hamza was going to go to England, the Premier League were going to sign him this summer. And then De Laurentiis gives out this quote, and he says, "The English live badly, eat badly, and their women do not wash their genitalia. To them, a bidet is a mystery." I mean, come on. It's just brilliant. It's just brilliant. And he was like, you know, why would Hamza want to go and play in England? The English live badly.
Can you imagine waking up every day in Liverpool? You only have the house of the Beatles, Abbey Road.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
It's in London. It's in London. It's not even in Liverpool.
Yeah. I have to say that apparently that was actually a fake quote. And I think Napoli actually came out and said that was a fake quote. That was this summer, wasn't it? That was this summer, that one. Yeah, that was fake. But this one was real. This was a real quote. He really did say that. And I remember there was a lot of anger at the time. You know, it went over the English media, and a lot of anger from obviously English women were very upset about this, to be told that they don't wash their genitalia. But I can say one thing is absolutely true. The bidet is a mystery in England. It is a mystery. Like no one has.
No, he did say that. That's apparently true. It's not. He did say that about Abbey Road.
No, they put out a statement.
But it wasn't this summer. It was in 2024. Or no, it was actually before that. It was years and years and years ago.
Okay. Well, he didn't say it this summer anyway, because they put out a statement saying it wasn't true. I think
he told Le Parisien apparently in many years ago.
All right. Okay. So that has to be my favorite. Has to be my.
I knew that was your favorite, and I because it's so unhinged. But I think when he
tell me your favorite and tell the story of it.
I think that one has to be it, because I think my favorite moment of his is when he jumps on someone's bike. Like, he insults everyone in the Serie A, sends them all a quel paese, and then he just jumps on the bike and randomer on the street and rides off on the bike. That is just
that was after I believe before the start of the season, when they do the fixtures announcement.
The fixture list,
at the fixture list, and he wasn't happy with the way that it was randomly drawn, And he tried to say that basically, the big clubs, Juventus, Inter Milan, got like their fixtures in a certain beneficial way for them, whereas Napoli got it like I can't remember exactly what it was, but he just stormed out and he started swearing at everyone. There's footage of this as well. Actually.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's my favorite moment.
He starts swearing at everyone, and then he just jumps onto a stranger's moped
bike and tells them to ride off
on the back of it with no helmet on, and they ride off into the sunset.
Yeah, like that is just, and the guy had no idea. No one knew who that poor guy was, and it's just, yeah. But yeah, he's insane. Like he is the last of a dying breed, and it's not just. I mean, these eccentric football presidents that exist. They're of a certain generation. Like it's not just. Of course, they were more prevalent in Italy and in Spain. I mean, Jesus Gil, Atletico Madrid, was just insane. But my favorite story, I think, ever is Bertil Kristiansson. We don't have owners because Sweden's football clubs it's the 51% rule, so they're owned by the members, right? Bertil Kristiansson was a local businessman here in Gothenburg for a tiny club. He was the president of a tiny local club called Västra Frölunda. You could write a 500-page book about the stories that he did while he was alive. He used to be the speaker at the games as well, like during the games. And when he wasn't happy with what the coach was doing, he used to turn on the speaker and said, Frölunda is considering making a change, this player for that player. That was his way of telling the coach who to bring on and take off. But the absolute favorite story ever is Bertil he decided that he wanted to, this was like in the 90s, early 90s, he wanted to turn football into a show, right? So there's a big amusement park in the middle of the city of the Gothenburg called Liseberg. It's huge. It's one of Europe's biggest. And their mascot is a big bunny, right? A big green bunny. And he had it was around then that Canal Plus had just bought the rights to the Swedish top flight, and they were in the Swedish top flight. And he wanted to hype up the first game, I think it was, of the season. So he, and to hype up and bring kids and families. So he demanded that they were going to present the match ball in the most extravagant way ever by having a helicopter land on the middle of the pitch with someone dressed as the bunny. We're coming out of the helicopter with the match ball, putting it on the middle of the pitch. There's only one problem. This transpired, but with a difference, of course, that when the bunny came out of the helicopter, the guy took off his mask and puked. Vomited right on the pitch. The ball went anywhere. Children are crying. There's a helicopter. The ball goes everywhere. It's just complete chaos. And then the story goes that Bertil then looks at the helicopter while all of this chaos is going, and he says, "You can get to Spain in 2 hours in one of those," pointing at the helicopter, and then just walks off. Like he was just not there. Like he went at half time, he went to a defender and said, "That is the worst defensive intervention in the 70-year history of this club," and then just walked out. Like he was absolutely insane. He was unhinged, completely unhinged. But he's one of the funniest characters that ever existed.
I mean, the Italian presidents are the best.
Zamparini. Zamparini and Bertil Kristiansson. I mean, those kinds of. They're all from the same generation.
Zamparini. There was a great story of Zamparini, similar to the De Laurentiis one, where there was a summer when Palermo were fantastic, and they created a great team with Cavani and Ilicic and who else did Palermo have during that time?
Barzagli, Grosso, Zaccardo.
Yeah, Luca Toni before. I mean, they went for a good period, didn't they, with Zamparini? And then all the English clubs tried to poach their players.
He called them pirates.
Yeah, he called them pirates. Just the pirates. They come in here looting our looting.
My favorite Zamparini story is going on another unhinged rant about how he's angry at the coach. and he was going to. And then they asked him, "Well, are you going to sack him?" And he says, "I don't know yet." And he says, "When do you know?" "After I finish eating this ice cream." Like, it's just, but I have to say, one of the best things ever was when he, a guy I know, Lorenzo Vicini, he's a big Palermo fan. He's got family from there. He runs ultraspalermo.com, and it's an English site. He's Italian American, Sicilian American, and he found Zamparini's private email address, and he wrote him an email the season they went down and asked him, like, please, stop this, stop sacking everyone. Let's have some stability and whatnot. And he didn't expect to get a reply, but naturally he did get a reply. It was a completely crazy, unhinged reply where he compared Norbert Balog with Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and it's just completely Zamparini unhinged. And he published this after Zamparini died on Twitter. It's on his Twitter page. And but the best part of that is at the bottom of it says this email, this long kilometer email, is sent from Zamparini from his iPad at like 04:52 in the morning. And it's like, when that moment in time, or the moment of the day or the night when all the best ideas come creeping out. It's just he's unbelievable. He's absolutely brilliant. We could do an entire podcast on crazy Italian football presidents. I mean, when we had what's his name, Negri on, Marco Negri on, and he talked about Luciano Gaucci, they called the Hurricane, and the stuff that he used to do. I mean, it's just, you could go on all day. Right, next question. Jack Hacken says, "Hi, Neiman Carlo. Question for the pod. I'll ask plainly, which mercato by a smaller team has caught your eye or could go somewhere interesting? Not every team can have its own special episode, but I'm always interested. And is Carlo secretly an English lord with a large manor house and a 2000 Range Rover Discovery? Hence the hostility to Lord Kelly."
I haven't got a Range Rover. But yeah, no, it has to be Como, I think, this summer.
Yeah.
I don't even know if we can call them a small team anymore, because they got the richest owners in Serie A, one of the richest owners in the world. And as I've said, I think they're definitely a team to watch in Serie A in the years to come, given their wealth. They've got so much money. So yeah, I think they're ones to watch, and they could even potentially be. I think they can fight for Europe this season, and even be dark horses for top four. I mean, dark horses right now, but don't rule it out. If Bologna can get top four 2 seasons ago, then I wouldn't completely rule out the chance of Como. Don't think it will happen, but I wouldn't rule it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one. I think there's certain things that some have done, some deals that I like. I like Cholito Simeone going to Torino. I think that's a good move. I don't know. It's difficult. I think we have to wait and see. I think this has been a strange transfer window, but for the Italian teams. But I would like to wait and see. But there are certain deals that I think are smart and good. We got a question on one later in the show as well, so I don't want to go too much into it, because I really want to move on to the next question, which is about Bedford. And it's Nick Passaretti who says, "Hey Carlo, what are your thoughts on your team in Bedford? You think they'll make it to the Prem?" And it's that, what's his name, Peter, is that his name, who the crypto millionaire who bought a team, and he named them Real Bedford, but I will never call them Real Bedford. For me, they're called Real Bedford, because there's no such thing as Real Bedford. So what's his name?
I don't know if it's supposed to be Real or Real. I don't think know.
Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely a play on Real. So
yeah, maybe.
But 9 promotions later, they're now in the Football League. No,
it's not 9.
I think 9. Yeah, he says it's 9. The guy himself says it's 9 promotions later.
I don't think so. Not that I'm aware of. Not 9. They went that far down.
Yeah, he said they were at the bottom.
Not since he bought the club, though. They haven't done 9 promotions under him. Maybe.
Well, he says it is.
Yeah. I don't think he's been there that long. He hasn't been there 9 years, that's for sure. So, but anyway, look, I don't know. I don't know how much money he wants to put into it. I'm actually hoping to see him soon, because our cake shop, we're talking. I've been talking to one of his managers. He has a coffee shop in Bedford, which he calls Real Coffee, and it's kind of like, it's all mixed together. I've been speaking to one of his managers, and we're talking about supplying their coffee shop with some chocolate toothpaste, which is kind of our speciality. We supply all the.
Addictive.
You had some chocolate toothpaste. It's a Bedford thing.
Nobody's heard of it.
Yeah, no, you devoured it. Yeah, nobody's heard of chocolate toothpaste outside of Bedford. So most of the people listening to this show won't have a clue what I'm talking about. It's a Bedford thing. It's one of the things that Bedford's most famous for. It's a tart with a special chocolate cream that we make. And
I had that entire box of cookies that you gave me. I had that in one sitting when I was there.
Yeah. Well, we fed you well, didn't we? Everybody gets fed well that comes to our cake shops. Everybody that's listening or watching, when you're in Bedford, come and visit us. You will not be hungry after you've left.
No, you will not.
But so I'm hoping to actually meet him. So I'll ask him. But he's a very he actually has his own podcast. We had his own podcast about crypto, and it was one of the biggest in the world. So he knows how to market. He could probably teach the Italians a thing or two about, and he knows how to get publicity. At the moment, he's actually, and this has been quite controversial. He's actually, because you've been in Bedford, Nima, like a lot of places in England, there's a lot of people on the streets, a lot of homeless people, a lot of addicts, and he's been very kind of vocal about how that's causing a lot of trouble to business. And so, if you go into Bedford Town Centre now, which is pretty much deserted because but that's the same everywhere. I don't think it's got anything to do with homeless people. But he says, it's not good. It's not good for business if the town centre is just full of homeless people and addicts and everything. And he's in the middle of a war with the police about it, saying that the police are not doing anything about it. So he's actually this last week set up his own private, and it's just quite controversial for many reasons, his own private police force, private security force. He's employed about 15 or 20 security people who are basically literally just on the Bedford Town Centre for the month of August, just in basically security, police, military gear, basically just to patrol the streets, basically. And it's very controversial.
It's not controversial, it's fucking insane. What he's got, I'm sorry, but he's what? He thinks he's the king of England and he gets to have his own military and police?
Yeah,
Are you serious?
I'm serious. Google it. Yeah, I'm serious.
Insane.
Yeah, so it's controversial. Yeah.
Look, it's that I agree that the police not doing anything and arresting grandmothers for social media posts and stuff like that Britain is a meme, and it's never been a bigger meme than it is now. But I also think that homelessness and all that stuff, that's because of the failure of the state. But the solution to that can't be private police forces. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. On what legal ground is he standing on to do that?
No, legally, I don't understand it. I'll be honest with you. I don't.
I think they're probably just enforcing the law as it is. Probably, I think that's what it is. But it's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane.
It's probably a prohibitive maneuver in that they probably have no power to actually do anything
to
these people.
Exactly. They're just there. They can just inform people of what the law is, and
they're just there for the look, and then that probably will then prohibit people from maybe.
Rather than if he wanted to do something, what he could do is he could actually set up maybe a rehabilitation clinic if he actually wanted to help.
Well, that's my opinion. I prefer to solve. It's like saying you're always ill and you go and take some medication, some tablets, but that's just masking the problem, Whereas I think that when you've got homelessness and addiction, and it's widespread in many places
everywhere in Europe.
Yeah, it's getting it's very very bad. Well, in England, it's very very bad at the moment. The solution to that isn't by putting loads of police on because that's not going to solve their addiction, and that isn't going to solve the problem.
You're just going to move it from one place to another.
From one place to another, yeah, exactly. So the solution to that is actually working out a way to help these people and to stop this from happening. That's how you solve that.
Well, yeah, you solve problems by hitting the root cause.
Yeah. Exactly.
Anyway, next question. But yeah, do you think they'll make it to the Premier League?
I wouldn't think so.
I would absolutely love it if Real Bedford went to the Premier League.
I wouldn't think so. No.
Andrea Moana says, "What's
I used to play for them though. You know that was the team I played for.
Yeah.
Well, they weren't known as Real Bedford at the time.
No, I know.
They were known as Bedford United.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Andrea Moana says, "What's your all-time Italy-Argentina 11? Surely Argentina has more players than England did last week." I'll read each position and the alternatives, and you've picked out these alternatives, and then you choose one, and then if I have something I want to add, I'll add at the end of it. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
So goalkeepers: Buffon or Ubaldo Filol?
Buffon, the GOAT.
Right back: Bergomi or Zanetti?
It's tough, isn't it? It's a tough one. Tough. Really tough. I'm gonna go Zanetti.
Me too. Even though I love Lozio, but Zanetti is. Left back: Paolo Maldini or Silvio Marzolini?
Maldini.
Same. Baresi and Scirea or Passarella and Ruggeri?
Passarella is a legend. He's not far off, but I'm gonna have to go with Baresi and Scirea.
No, it's the two best central defenders of all time, if you ask me. Baresi and Scirea. Like, that's just how it is. DM: Tardelli or Mascherano. I'm a little bit surprised by Mascherano, but okay.
Mascherano, legend as well.
Absolutely.
Tardelli. I'm going to go with for Tardelli.
Yeah. For me, Cambiasso's more accomplished than Mascherano. But yeah,
it's close one between the two of them. Both fantastic players.
Playmaker midfielder: Pirlo or Alfredo Di Stefano?
I mean, this is how do you choose between these two? Di
Stefano is just.
It's mad.
You have to go with Di Stefano. I love Pirlo, but Di Stefano. I mean,
yeah, I think you have to go Di Stefano because he was ahead of his time. He was like 10 years ahead of his time.
Football. When you change football, then yeah. Attacking midfielder: you got Gianni Rivera, and then you got Di Maria.
Question my choices, Nima.
Yes, because Di Maria is more of a winger.
Well, no, he played attacking midfield as well, but yeah. Gianni Rivera has to be.
Number 10, Totti or Maradona? I don't care. It's Maradona, and I love Totti, and you can't say anything else but Maradona. I'm sorry.
Well, of course. Diego Maradona is the GOAT. He's the greatest player of all time, so it's going to be Maradona.
Yeah. Support striker: Roberto Baggio or Lionel Messi? I mean,
this is torture for me. This is torture. Listen. We're talking national teams here. I want to clarify. We're talking about how good were they for their national teams.
Yeah, exactly.
Now people are gonna say, "Oh, but Messi won the World Cup." Well, he won a World Cup with was dreadful quality in terms of like the era for international football, and he won a World Cup where Argentina were just giving penalties for free every single game.
No.
Yes, he had some great moments. I mean, that skill against Croatia, fantastic. But
that
other
pass
than that,
against Holland. I mean,
the pass against Holland, fantastic. But you know, I'm gonna go Roberto Baggio. I'm gonna go Baggio. But national team,
I don't like him. I don't like Messi at all. You know that. I'm not his biggest fan. But come on.
No, national team, right?
Yes, national team. He won Argentina. Argentina don't win the World Cup. Yes, it's part of the team. He didn't win it. He didn't win it like Maradona won. Maradona won it alone. But Messi, in that I mean, when it mattered the most, the way he stepped up and some of the things he did. Look, I'm not his biggest fan. I don't particularly like the guy, but no, Messi in Qatar was just insane.
Well, the thing is, Messi. Listen, don't get me wrong. Look, he was fantastic in that World Cup, but I think the international era right now is just really bad. And I think that Argentina win that World Cup also because they got given penalties. I'm sorry, people don't talk about this enough.
Because they weren't given penalties.
The number of penalties that Argentina were given
they should have had them.
Weren't penalties.
They should have had them. Which one shouldn't they have had?
A lot of those penalties weren't penalties.
Which one?
Well, listen, I haven't watched the World Cup since 2022, but go back and have a look at every single.
I remember this discussion back then, and I thought it was ridiculous. And again, I don't even like Messi that much. I think if you're talking Barcelona, that's another fact. They were gifted penalties. They invented penalties for them. I mean, remember Milan against Barcelona when the ball's not even in play and the referee gives a penalty from a corner that's where the ball's not even in play. That's
there were penalties. Else. There was at least two or three in that tournament that Argentina got given that weren't penalties. And yeah, national team. I'm going to go Baggio because Baggio was world class in 3 World Cups, absolutely brilliant. Messi really was a flop in every single tournament, every single World Cup until that last one, which Argentina were helped to win it. If we're talking about football, full stop, including club football, what Messi did for Barcelona, then of course you're going to pick Messi. But we're talking about national team only. I'm going Baggio over Messi.
I think even though Roberto Baggio is my favorite Italian player of all time, one of my favorite players of all time, Messi, that World Cup in Qatar, what he did all the way to the final, it was something else. It was truly unbelievable. For me, after this era of the national team, I agree with you. I think it's low, but there's certain players that have reached levels that Messi in this one, Modric in Russia, it was just like they were. It's something else. They were something else, and so I have to go with Messi. I wish it was Baggio. If Italy had won in '94, there would be no discussion for me. But unfortunately, they didn't. Right, striker, Gigi Riva or Gabriel Omar Batigol Batistuta?
This is tough as well, isn't it? Really tough. I can't split them.
Yeah,
Riva won the Euros and was, unbelievable in the World Cup in 1970. Batistuta played for Argentina, who never really threatened to win a World Cup, although I think they did win a Copa America with him, I believe, and he was a protagonist. He had a longer career at the top for the national team than maybe Riva did. Riva had injuries. I'll go Batistuta.
I think I'm with you on that. See, they can't say we have Italian bias. All these, I got to say, one of my new things.
What is it, about half and half? How many? Have you got?
Half and half. Yeah. So let me see: Buffon, Zanetti, Maldini, Baresi, Scirea, Tardelli, Di so that's Italy, and then you had Di Stefano. You had
I've gone 7-4.
Yeah, 7-4. Yeah, so it's pretty.
You've gone 6-5, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I have Batistuta, I have Messi, I have Maradona, I have Di Stefano.
We have the same, except for Baggio Messi.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
I'm going to get absolutely slaughtered for the Baggio Messi thing, but bring it on.
Yeah, but that's good because it's hilarious. I one of the things I have to say, since I'm no longer really that active on social media, but I go like once or twice a day to see how you piss off prem faces on TikTok. It is a new addiction of mine to go and listen to these.
Yeah, but some of these prem faces, there was guys absolutely adamant that Ashley Cole was better than Maldini in that.
There was someone telling me Wayne Rooney was better than Baggio and shit like that. It was like, I was like, yeah, okay, run along. No, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. I love it. So it's funny. Please remember, your tears and anger are my drug. So please cry directly into my mug so I can drink it and savor it. Right, next one. This is speaking of anger. Giacomo Riccio says, Milan sending Liberali to Catanzaro in Serie B on a permanent transfer for nothing sums up how useless Italy's youth development is. Do you agree? Right, run for cover. Carlo's about to explode. Shit, it's gonna blow.
How depressing. How depressing was this story though, Nima? Come on. Really depressing. I mean, listen, I've said this a few times now, but Liberali only a year ago, was probably the best player at the under-17 Euros. Him and Kamada were the two best players. You could argue Kamada was the best player at the tournament. You could argue Liberali was. But everybody agrees that they were the two best players at the under-17 Euros, which Italy won. And won convincingly, playing fantastically. And in the following season, so in the season that's just passed, Liberali, what's he done? He's played one appearance for Milan senior team and only 8 appearances for the Milan Futuro team. Now, this is a Milan team that had one of the worst seasons in their history, and the Milan Futuro team that got relegated to an amateur league. And Liberali couldn't even get a game for these teams, right? Meanwhile, and I'm just going to name a few, you've got Ethan Nwaneri, who's been shining for Arsenal this season in the Champions League. You've had Rodrigo Moura, who's been a phenomenon for Porto this season. Giovanni Quenda at Sporting Lisbon, who's now got a big money move to Chelsea. That's just 3 players who were at these under-17 Euros that Liberali he outshone these players at that tournament. And a year on, these players are already, important players for their clubs, getting big money moves. And where is Liberali? He can't even get a game for a team that's now in an amateur league, and he's being sold. Well, not even sold. He's being sent by Milan to Catanzaro for nothing on a free with a sell-on clause. And it's also, if you actually look deep into this case, it's actually a total mess what's going on there. There's a split between the Milan directors. You've got Iliatare, who's trying to send him to Catanzaro. Then you've got Zlatan Ibrahimovic and somebody else at Milan that are trying to send him to Torino in Serie A. But the bottom line is he's got 1 year left on his contract. The relationship between club and player is completely broken. So he's going to leave one way or another. And this is what I mean by how incompetent our youth system is. I'm not singling out Milan here because this is throughout the board. So I'm not saying I'm not blaming Milan individually here. I'm just saying that this, in a microcosm, this sums up the just how bad our pathways is for young footballers.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. I think the lack of pathway, not to a Milan, but even a Empoli or not Empoli, sorry, they're the only ones who allow it, but like the rest, like a Lecce, there is no pathway, and that's a problem. But I do want to say one thing, though, in this particular case with Liberali, is that not just Liberali, but also young players. And that is that it just goes to show how volatile youth football and development at that age is, and how you have to take care and nurture these young players in order to get them to explode and take that next step. And with Liberali, for various reasons, which I don't think we're even aware of today, something has happened that has stunted his growth. Whether that is permanent and it's changed his trajectory forever, or whether it's just a blip on the map, we'll know in about 5 to 10 years' time. But I do think it's important to remember that the step in quality between youth football and first team football at any level, and how important it is to nurture these young guys on the pitch, off the pitch, mentally, tactically, in order to get the most out of them. I think that's where Italy struggle a little bit.
Yeah, you're talking about the whole process there,
yeah,
and you're right. And that's exactly my point, Nima. Yeah. We've completely failing at that and failed at that for many years, and we can't do it. Other countries can. Ethan Nwaneri, Rodrigo Moura, Giovanni Quenda. That's just 3 examples I picked out. There's probably more.
There's so many. That's
3 examples. Liberali was better than all these players. He outshone all these players at the Euros a year ago. Okay, it's tournament football. Tournament football can be a bit different. He outshone all these players. 100. A year from now, these players are all starring at top European level, Champions League, big money moves, Premier League teams. Liberali can't even get a game for an amateur team, and he's getting sold to a Serie B team, or not even sold. So what the hell is? I mean, this. So yes, to answer the question, it absolutely perfectly sums up what a shambles Italian youth football development is.
Agreed. Even though they have good results at under 17, under 19, under 20, 21, and so on. But I agree with you. It's the pathway to club football that is an absolute mess. Sergio Leone says, hi guys. Been a while since I sent in a question. What do you think is the most bizarre managerial appointment in Serie A history? My local club, Wraith Rovers, made an insane appointment that wouldn't look out of place in the crazy world of Italian football. In 2004, Claude Anelka, brother of Nicolas Anelka, was offering 300k to any club that would appoint him as their manager. Wraith Rovers, being desperate for cash at the time, took the option. What followed was a complete and utter shambles, resulting in Anelka resigning after 8 games without a win, leaving Wraith with a bunch of his signings they could barely afford to pay. Wraith were relegated that season and almost went bankrupt until an Italian immigrant named Mario Caira, among a few others, saved the club. That's brilliant. What a lovely story that is.
There's a clear winner, Andrea Pirlo to Juventus.
Yeah.
No one comes close.
Clarence Seedorf to Milan was bizarre as well.
Yeah, that was a Pirlo-like appointment as well.
Yeah.
But Pirlo in particular, I mean, you literally just appointed someone for the biggest club in Italy that won 9 years in a row based on
vibes.
Yeah.
No,
it's true. Vibes. We're not exaggerating. It was literally, I have some good conversations and good coffee talk with Andrea Pirlo, so I'm going to appoint him. That's literally what it was.
Yeah,
we have some good chats on our bike rides together. Let's appoint you. You know.
Oh dear. Yeah, no, I agree with you.
In Serie A, definitely. In outside, I mean, there has been some bizarre ones. I mean, Gary Neville to Valencia was.
I was about to say that. I think that's the most bizarre appointment of all time. I think that is by far the most bizarre appointment of all time. From Sky Sports Monday Night Football to Valencia, and back to London and Sky Sports Monday Night Football.
Didn't speak any Spanish. Had no culture.
He can barely speak English.
Got no culture at all in him. Like he's just typical kind of like prem face kind of, you know, culturally. And then he goes to Spain.
He can barely speak English, much less Spanish. So let's leave it at that. Jonas Skovby says, hi guys. If the transfer window closed at this very moment, which clubs would you say were the favourites to end in top 4? It's a good question. I'd say Inter, Milan, Napoli, and Roma.
I think Napoli and Inter are lock-ins. There's not even I don't think there's any question about them, the top 4 anyway. The others difficult right now. I think the other places would be out of Juventus, Milan, and on vibes, I'm going to say Roma, although obviously some of their new signings, I honestly don't know. I haven't seen some of their new signings, like Wesley and El Naoui. I haven't seen them, so I can't say for sure. But I think the other 2 places out of those 3, Atalanta, I can't say them now, especially with what's going on with Lookman, and Lazio, I can't say them with their market.
Yeah, it's so many unknowns.
Fiorentina, no. Have I missed a team? Who have I missed out?
No, you haven't.
Bologna, no, I can't say Bologna. Who else? Yeah, and I said before, Como a dark horse, but I still think they need more. They need more work in the transfer market to become that dark horse status. That's me kind of predicting they're still going to do some more work, like bring in Morata, bring in some others. Then I think they can be a dark horse for top 4. But if it's now, I think, that's what I think.
We're going to do a proper.
We're
going to do a proper post like Mercato, so Serie A preview and Mercato and all that. So just, but right now, I'd say top 4 for me, based on the Mercato, is Inter, Napoli, Milan, and Roma. And I think people are sleeping on Milan. They've done some interesting things. They've brought in experience as well as youth. I think Pulisic, Leao, and Jimenez up front is a in an Allegri counter-attacking system will be very effective. I think Ricci will work well in that system. I think Modric is intelligent. I think he'll do well there. No, I think people are sleeping on Milan. I really do. And also
now they've got Yeshari, assuming he's as talented as people say. I think they've got a solid base there in midfield to build from.
Yeah, agreed. But I mean, this can change. There's a month left of the window.
They're playing once a week as well, which is massive.
Exactly. And also remember, like, there's a month left of the transfer window, as Beppe Marotta keeps saying every time he approaches. A mic is thrown at him right now. Don't stress. There's a month left of the transfer window. Right. Next question. Christoffer Capoferro says, I love the podcast, but I only started listening in 2023, and I missed your reaction to Euro 2020. I've always felt Immobile is underrated. He faced criticism despite solid achievements. He played an important role in Italy's Euro 2020 win, first since 2006, and had a strong goal record for the Azzurri, better than many more celebrated players that also have better players around them, creating more chances for them. With no striker having cemented a national team spot and Immobile already scoring 5 for Bologna, what would he need to do this season to be considered a viable third option for the national team?
Oh, please.
Some stats, games and goals for the Azzurri. Immobile 57-17, 3 goals in Euro 2020. Totti 58-9, Tony 47-16, Balotelli 36-14, Del Piero 91-27, Retegui 26. Okay, because you weren't listening back then, I'll just reiterate what I've always said about Ciro Immobile, and that is, I think he's unlucky. He was born in the wrong era, in the sense that he was born in an era where the number 9 was just a sole number 9, as well as a false 9 era. And he's neither of those things. He is a classic Italian goal poacher next to another player, a support striker. And that's not what when he had his, greatest, highlight of his career, the biggest club played with the prima punta, just a sole number 9. The Haalands, the Ossimens, the Lukakus, right? The Benzemas even. He's not that kind of a striker. And I feel that had he lived in a different era, I think he would have been much more respected.
Yeah, agreed. Listen, 2026 now, nearly, and we're still on what? Immobile could get back in the national team. Come on, let's just move on now. Listen, the guy struggled at times in Turkey last season. He's going to be 36 in the new year. Let's just move on, please. Let's get to the World Cup first, though. Okay, let's get to the World Cup because we're going to go to a playoff. That's a guaranteed. We're going to a playoff. So yeah.
Right, now it's time for the Lookman gate, because we've got a couple of questions on Ademola Lookman. I'm going to read all of them, and then we're going to answer them all at once rather than reading them one and answering all the time. So, starting, first question, Marc Thoreau. Hi guys, thanks again for the great pod. Assuming Inter pulls off the Lookman deal, isn't Frattesi's surplus to requirements stacked in attack with largely 2-man midfield? I just don't see him getting that many minutes. Time to sell. Next question, Luca Capone. Hey fellas, while I'll first inquire about if Carlo and Nima have any interest in starting a Gypsy Kings Eros Ramazzotti cover band, I'll play drums and what they would call said ensemble. At the time of me writing this, Inter is still on the fence about signing Lookman. Call me crazy, but are they simply worried about him being another potential post-Atalanta flop on top of him turning 28 this October? I hope you guys are having a great summer. Keep up the great work. Marco Maganucco says, Ciao Niman Carlo. All our best players get swallowed up by Premier League clubs. By Serie A. But all our players get swallowed up by Premier League clubs because Serie A clubs don't have the money. When they do have the money, they throw in a ridiculous Serie A tax to direct libels. Look like Lookman's 40 million gentleman agreement magically becoming 50 million for Serie A clubs. I believe Napoli did the same for Osimhen, and one of Serie A's best strikers had to move to Turkey. My question is, do you think Serie A would be better off if rival clubs were more fair when negotiating with one another? 12. The next question, Gianni Esposito. What do you make of Lookman's behavior of going on strike, wiping his socials, clearing his locker, going AWOL in an attempt to force through a move? Okay, there's a couple of things there. The first one with Frattesi, we know that Frattesi is not surplus to requirements because he has made that clear. He sees him as one of the two next to Sucic or Barella, and that he sees Çalhanoğlu as a potential number 10, as one of the two behind the one, because Inter are playing a 3-4-2-1. And for me, Çalhanoğlu as a number 10 is insanity. It worries and scares the crap out of me, as I've said repeatedly. Now, the next part of that,
name of the band. No, don't call me Gypsy.
What? Don't call me Gypsy. Yeah, don't call me Gypsy. We take a page out of the Serie A's anti-racism campaigns, and we call the band "Don't Call Me Gypsy." As for clubs being fair in the Serie A, no, I get that. You don't want to strengthen a rival, especially when the league is this weak. Because Atalanta are in a race for top 4 with Juve, and why would they sell? Sorry, with Inter, why would they sell Lookman to Inter? Why would Napoli?
Also, I just want to clarify. Yeah, sorry, Nema. I just want to clarify also like what actually happened between Lookman and
I was going to get to that. I just wanted to get these other things out of the way
first. Because I'm responding is directly to that about this agreement. There was never an agreement over
the fee.
Over the fee. Lookman, when he tried to, and we'll come on to that, when he tried to shamefully last season, the way he behaved last summer when he tried to push forward a move to PSG. Atalanta promised him that at the end of the season that they would allow him to leave at the end of the 24-25, excuse me, the end of the 24-25 season, they would allow him to leave for a fair price. And they have valued, and we've learnt this through Alfredo Pedola, that they value him, Lookman, at 45 plus 5. Pedula said this, and I trust Pedula 100%. He's been spot on the Lookman thing the whole way through.
And I think what Pedula says has also been verified by what Lookman said when he said in the statement he made, where he's like, now there is an offer on the table and Atalanta are blocking the transfer, which contradicts all the other reports saying that Atalanta have not named their price. So you have the player himself confirming it. You've got Pedula confirming it. I think it's pretty obvious that there is a price tag. And that price tag is 50 million.
Yeah, exactly. The price tag is 45 plus 5. I mean, they've made that price now. But last summer, they promised him that they would sell him for a fair price. They've now, since this summer, decided that fair price is 45 plus 5. And if a team reaches that, including Inter, if Inter reach that, which is why they're still in the race, which is why they're about to put in a new bid, because they know that there's still a chance they can sign him. Otherwise, they wouldn't have come back. If they didn't think they could sign him, they would have given up, right? So 45 plus 5, they can have him. Now, Inter are going to bid 46 now, plus a youth player. So that might be enough. Maybe Atalanta want that youth player. I don't know who it will be. And they'll decide that, okay, that actually gets to 50. So maybe they'll accept it. Okay, Inter are negotiating. It's up to them. They're well within their rights to do that, just as they were in their rights to bid 42 plus 3.
Yeah.
So that's just to clear that up. So I think everybody needs to stop blaming Inter and stop blaming Atalanta. Both clubs are well within their rights. And for me, neither club has done anything wrong. You can say, yes, maybe Inter should have just paid the 50, or you can say, but end of the day, it's up to the clubs.
Exactly.
Who I blame is the behaviour of Lookman. To answer Gianni Esposito's question, I think it's shameful, his behaviour. I'm sorry, and I say this as someone who is a huge fan of Lookman as a player. I think he's a fantastic player. I love watching him. He's one of the few players I really enjoy watching. He's been one of the best players in Serie A over the last 2 years or so. I actually said this as we headed into 2025. I thought he was the best player in Serie A, full stop, in the last calendar year in 2024. I think he was the best player that Serie A had. Showed that also on a European level as well with what he did in the Europa League. Absolutely magical player. And at the form that he showed for Atalanta, he's absolutely worthy of one of the biggest clubs, not just in Italy like Inter, but in Europe. Absolutely. And I also defended Lookman 100% behind him when the whole stuff, everything that happened with Gasperini, where Gasperini criticised him publicly for missing a penalty against Club Brugge when they went out in the Champions League, and Gasperini ridiculously said that he's one of the worst penalty takers he's ever seen. And the way that Lookman responded to that, I thought was absolutely classy. That is the way that you respond to people being dicks to you. Yeah. But I'm sorry, the way that he has behaved here, when listen, we don't always know exactly what's happening behind the closed doors.
I want to play devil's advocate. I want to come in there and play devil's advocate on that, because I think the statement with Lookman what Lookman said and what Percassi said essentially is Lookman said, you promised I could leave this summer. There is an offer on the table. You're refusing to sell it. You're refusing to accept it. And Atalanta put out in the media that no, the promise was only valid for non-Serie A teams. You see, that's where I find that I get why Lookman is pissed, because there's no misunderstanding here. He wanted to leave last summer. He misbehaved. He came back in. He did really well. He handled all the things you said about Gasperini treating him like crap and publicly humiliating him. He handled that class. All of this doesn't happen in a vacuum. Then this summer, you're going all splitting hairs and going, like that famous Simpsons episode where Homer tries to get into the stonecutters, and they say no, and they say no homers, only one homer allowed. I mean, that's childish. We meant non-Serie A clubs. Well, you didn't say that to him. Evidently, you didn't say that.
I think Percassi's statement is just negotiation tactics. He's not going to come out.
I get that.
That's negotiating tactics. The truth is not what comes out in public.
When he comes out and
price
says
is 45 plus 5.
No. When he confirms that they promised him that he could leave, but the promise was only for non-Serie A clubs, non-Serie A clubs, whilst Lookman is adamant that the promise was you can leave regardless of which club. That's where I begin to have big problems.
But they will sell him. If Inter bid 45 plus 5, he will join Inter.
I get that.
So it's not true.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this notion of trying to be clever and saying, no, I never promised you that. I promised you this. In a situation like that, I get why Lookman is pissed.
That's just, I think, listen, if that was true, I would agree with you. But it's not true because, as we know, as we've discussed already,
it is true. Atalanta have literally put out in the media that the promise was to sell him to a non-Serie A club. Lookman put out a statement saying, you promised to sell me. Now, you don't need to be a deductive genius skill. You don't need to have any genius skills in deductive reasoning to understand that 1 + 1 = 2. If you promise that he can leave, he's confirmed you promised to get to leave. Now you're saying, no, but we promised you can leave, but not to a Serie A club. That's I get why he's pissed. He feels double-crossed, and that's why he behaves the way he does.
At the end of the day, listen, he knows deep down, if Inter bid 45 plus 5, he will join Inter. That's the fair price. That's what they consider as a fair price for him. He will go. They don't. Atalanta don't consider. Okay, well, the point is, Lookman knows that. You bet Lookman knows that, and he knew that. The way that he behaved, if this was the only time it's happened, yes, I could be on his side. But the way that he behaved last summer, when PSG come out of nowhere with like 3 days left of the window and tried to buy him for a pathetic price, like 20 million euros, just like ridiculous transfer.
I'm not talking about but the same thing happened as well. Yeah, but this is something that Atalanta do, and it's well within their rights to do it. What I'm saying is that I understand why Lookman is pissed, because when Atalanta put out there that we didn't promise to sell you, we promised to sell you to a non-Serie A club. You say that a year after, where you confirm that you have promised to the player that you will sell him after, like that to me is a dick move. I'm not talking about the price. The player is under contract with Atalanta. Atalanta decide what the penalty is to tear up that contract. I'm not discussing that. I'm talking about the communication between Atalanta and the player and the way that they've talked to one another. I think it's unfair.
Well, we don't know what they promised him.
Atalanta have said what they've said, and Lookman has said what he said.
Yeah, but that's clear what's happened. That's Lookman's words.
Again, Atalanta have said that we promised to sell you, but we didn't promise to sell you to a Serie A club.
Well, how do we know that's not what they said? We don't know that. It's only Lookman that's claiming that they said it was to anyone. We don't know. Maybe they did say it was only a thing. So that's, again, it's his word against theirs. We don't know. He could just be saying that. We don't know. The point is,
I don't buy that, because this is not the first time with Atalanta either. We saw it, and again, I'm not blaming them. They're doing the right thing. In order for a small provincial side like Atalanta to successfully continue to exist, they have to get paid, without a doubt, and they're good sellers. So I get that. I think it's unfair to blame Lookman alone. That's what I'm saying.
I'm not blaming him alone, but what I am saying is that Lookman did this last summer pathetically 3 days, 4 days before.
Well, Atalanta did this last summer with Cup minus to Juve then, as well. Like again, this is not the first time this happens with Atalanta. It's well within their right.
The Cup minus thing
they play dirty. Look, I'm not having a go at Atalanta for playing dirty. I think it's good that they actually charge for their players. I'm saying it takes two to tango, and Atalanta are fantastic dance partners in this dance.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. They're tough negotiators. Tough negotiators.
They are.
But the point is that Lookman, you cannot. I mean, I thought what he did last summer was disgraceful. 4 days before the end of the transfer market, PSG put in a derisory bid of 20 million. Lookman basically got what he did. He went on strike, trying to force the remove to PSG a few days before the end of the window when they've got no time to find a replacement. When Scamacca,
that was wrong. We said it at the time.
That's ridiculous. So he's done this before, and I just think that the way that Lookman has behaved, I mean, what he's done, I mean, he's been on strike for days. He hasn't turned up to training. No one even knows where he is. He's turned his phone off. Only his agent apparently knows where he is. He's cleared out his locker room. He's wiped all his socials of Atalanta. And then the statement as well. I mean,
the statement was fine. I think the statement, there was nothing wrong with the statement. I thought it was very clear. I thought it was very polite, very eloquent, which is very typical of Ademola Lookman. He's a very eloquent person when he communicates, or whoever. If he's got a publicist, the publicist is very eloquent. I don't know if it's him or if it's his publicist, but every time he puts out statements, they're very, very eloquent. They're very well thought out. He expresses his opinion. He's very respectful. No, I think again, my issue is it takes two to tango. I think Atalanta have every right to play dirty and get paid because it's for them, it's a survival thing in order for them to continue punching above their weight. But I also understand Lookman, that he's like, well, enough's enough. Maybe there was a misunderstanding. Maybe there was this classic, they worded it specifically that will let you leave without defining where they want to do it. Because if you know anything about the world of business, you know that it's full of lying assholes. And Atalanta and everyone else involved when it comes to this kind of money are just dishonest, disingenuous, lying assholes. That's just the world we live in. And it goes both ways. The players are just as greedy and disgusting too, like if we're talking from a moral point of view. My issue is simply this. Blaming Lookman solely in this situation is unfair because things don't happen in a vacuum. It started long time ago. A lot of water and contaminated water.
But he needs to be realistic as well, Lookman, because even if somebody said to him, "We'll sell you to anyone," So what does that mean? That means somebody puts in a 1 million euros bid. Atalanta rejects it.
No.
And Lookman's like, "Oh, we said you'd stop." He needs to be realistic. He needs to be realistic, and he needs to. Listen. Let me finish.
That's not what he said.
Oh, forget what he said. He needs to be. Can I finish? Let me finish. He needs to be realistic that the price that Atalanta gets has to be a fair price. For me, 42 plus 3 is not a fair price. It's not.
Well, of course not. It's Inter. You want them to sell their entire squad to get Lookman.
42. For me, 42. My opinion is 42 plus 3 is not a fair price for Lookman. It's not even close. I think 45 plus 5 is too low based on the market, based on the quality of the player compared to others that have gone for much, much more, including in other leagues, foreign leagues. It's way off what he should be. But okay, they've set their price, 45 plus 5. Fair. But my point is just that Lookman needs to be realistic and that he has to go for a fair price. Just because a bid's come in, you can't just say, "Oh, but they agreed to sell me."
It's not just a bid, as he said. Now there is an as he confirmed in that statement, and so of Atalanta, there is an offer on the table that is market value. Whether it's not a shame bid like €1 or some stupid like that. No, it's not, and that's why he's so upset about it. But my point is, and I never go into discussions about market transfer fees because I think it's a completely deregulated market. A player is only worth what the selling club is willing to accept and the buying club is willing to pay. And so that's why you have inflation on players and various other factors, which is why Harry Maguire went for the price that he went, right? But so I don't really go into any of that. I think he is being realistic. I think the issue is Atalanta have not been clear in their communication to him, which is well within their right in a negotiation. He feels annoyed at that, and now he's reacting to it. I think to blame just Lookman is unfair. I think there's many people, there's lots of blame to go around, and I think it takes two to tango. That's my point. That's the only thing I'm saying. But we'll see where this ends. I'm not entirely sure he ends up at Inter. I'm going to be honest with you. I think more Premier League clubs are looking, and they're watching this. I think they're watching this, and they're seeing that, they're looking at this, and they see that the more this drags on, the more this will continue. Well, the more this drags on, the more of an opening it is for other clubs. Anyway, let's move on. Next question we've got is, let me just scroll down here because we did 3 in 1. Gianni Paterno says, "Hi, Neiman Carlo. It is I, the funniest patron and self-proclaimed director of Croatian scouting for Internazionale Milano, Jamie Carragher pronunciation engaged. Bit of a different question for you legends today. Who is the worst signing your clubs has made in the last 15 years? And Nima, because I know you'd otherwise lob a watermelon-sized softball down the middle, you're not allowed to pick Jack Runner, a.k.a. Joaquin Correa. We all know that one already deserves a Netflix doc. Looking forward to the carnage. So who do you think is the worst Juve signing of the last 15 years?
I think it might actually be Dusan Vlahovic.
Not Douglas Luiz?
I think Dusan Vlahovic, because he's killing multiple seasons and future seasons as well now, because Juve can't get rid of him, and so they're holding up their whole transfer market.
That's fair.
But Luiz is up there as well. He's definitely top 3.
Yeah, I think there's the last 15 years encompasses most of the banter era as well, doesn't it? Or it's all of it. So I think, Zdravko Kuzmanovic, Nemanja Matic, who doesn't speak a word of Vidic. Nemanja Vidic, who doesn't speak a word of Italian, next to Walter Mazzarri, who grunts in Italian, let alone when he speaks English. Gargano, Gabi Mudingayi, Ishak Belfodil, God in heaven, Safir Taider, Silvestre, Campagnaro. I mean, pick your pick. But if I'm not allowed to pick Correa, but both for price and how much he costs, I think Robin Gorson's probably the most expensive flop that you can probably say. But if just take your pick out of that sorry bunch. Next question. Johnny Manja says, guys, have you seen the Campobasso series on ESPN? It debuted this week, and I've watched 2 out of 4 episodes, and it's excellent. I haven't seen it, but I know that you've watched it, haven't you?
No, I haven't. I've tried to get it. I haven't been able to get it.
Oh, it's not available in Europe, is it?
Not yet. No, I've been trying to get it. I reached out to Matt, the Rosetta, the owner, because I was trying to set up an interview with Marc and Kelly.
Yeah, we already had Marc on the show, didn't we?
Yeah, we have. So I asked him last week. I'm trying to, because we'd love to get them on the show and ask them about it. But I haven't been able to watch it. I'm trying to get it. Let's just say that.
Neither have I.
It's supposed to be good. It's supposed to be really.
Yeah,
good.
I've heard really good things.
It looks good on the trailers, anyway.
Agreed. I've heard really good things from it, and people. It's being reported in Italy as well. Right. Next question. Fonzo says, why doesn't Serie A attract the same type of foreign investment the Premier League has, considering it was arguably the best league in the world between 80s and early 2000s, as historic clubs, beautiful cities, and lifestyles? What are depressing, dull relegation or mid-table English clubs more attractive to investors? Thanks for this podcast. I'm half Italian. I was born in London, so I never managed to become fluent in Italian. So I really appreciate finding the best English-speaking football podcast out there. Forza Juve, Forza Lord Kelly cries. Well, thank you for that. That's brilliant, and thank you for those kind words. Look, it's very simple. It's financial, Fonzo. The fact that the stadiums are all owned by the clubs, they're modern, and also the fact that the Premier League TV deal, before a single football is kicked, and before a single ticket is sold, all Premier League clubs are guaranteed. What is it? £100 million in revenue?
Something
minimum?
crazy like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The relegated bottom team in the Premier League, it makes more TV money than the top team in Serie A. So when you buy a club in England, then the financial possibilities are massive. Potential is massive. It really is as simple as that.
Yeah, 100%. Agreed. Saigonese says, "Hi guys, hope you're well. 2 questions. I've watched Milan versus Perth Glory or Glory Perth, and quite impressed with Cristian Comotto's performance. What do you guys reckon about him? Is he ready for the first team? And 2, before the new season started, can you guys name the top exciting young Italians based on 11 position, meaning like a formation of 4-3-3? Following this, we can follow this season. I can answer that second one in our Serie A preview. We can have that as part of the thingy, like the 11 most exciting." Young Italian youngsters to follow this season.
Yeah. It might not be 11, but
let's do it like this. Let's do it like this. We can do the top 11 youngsters to follow in the Serie A, and then most we'll try to make.
We'll definitely do youngsters to watch. I mean, we'll have to see if we can get 11. You know, it's not Serie A's not exactly it's not a fertile ground for youngsters, is it? So we'll see. But we'll do that. Yeah, we'll do something. We'll do something like that. I promise that.
Yeah, definitely.
As for Comotto, I loved his Panenka penalty. I also enjoyed the fact that he's now getting loaned out to a lower league. We'll see. He's the son of the former defender, isn't he? Gianluca Comotto.
Is he?
Mm-hmm. I believe he is. Yeah. Who had his dad had always had annoying permed hair. I remember.
Let me double check that.
Hair. Yeah.
Let me see if he's the son.
I believe he is. Yeah.
I remember he played for Torino, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I read
Gianluca Comotto. Yeah, he played for Torino. I remember him. And Fiorentina.
I would just say you can't read much on that game. And Perth Glory, with all due respect, are not a very good team. So, I mean, did you see the Australian team that played in the Club World Cup? They got smashed like 10-0 every game, didn't they? I mean, you can't read much into these kind of games. But yeah, it's good to see, and we hope that. Yeah, the thing is, the Milan youngsters have to be loaned out because you can't play them for the Milan Futuro because you can't play in amateur league. You can't play anybody in an amateur league. They're not going to develop in an amateur league.
100%. Next question. Hamza Mir says, "Why didn't the Soviet Union do well in football, unlike boxing, MMA, hockey, and other sports?" And Carlo, according to you, who's the greatest English boxer of all time, Lennox Lewis or Joe Calzaghe? For me, in terms of legacy, it's Lennox, but I love watching Calzaghe. Correction, Joe Calzaghe is not English. He's Welsh.
Both of them are not English. Lennox Lewis was Canadian.
Oh, was he?
Well,
didn't he represent England?
I mean, he was really, but yeah, he. I'm not actually sure if he had any English blood in him. He fought for Canada at the Olympics. I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure if he had.
Yeah, he's a citizen of the UK and Canada.
Yeah, he's a citizen of the UK.
Yeah, but he's not English. Yeah. So
I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure about his blood. So he was born in London, Jamaican immigrant parents. He was born there, but he moved over to Canada. Okay, when he was 12. I mean, okay.
Yeah, but one thing, as someone who's lived in Wales, Joe Calzaghe is Welsh and not English.
And he won't like you calling him English either. Trust me, I know Joe, and he's Welsh. He's very, very much.
We had him on the pod quickly, didn't we?
Yeah, we had him on the pod before the Euros, before the Euro final.
It was during the it was during the
it was before the Euro final. Yeah.
He's Welsh.
One of my greatest football stories involves Joe Calzaghe. He remembered this when I told him it.
I remember we said it on the pod, and it was obviously your dad. There's video of this as well. It's absolutely brilliant.
I haven't got a video of it. Well, I've got a video of us together, but not of this incident, which I wish I did.
The incident.
If I had a video of this incident, it would be viral. It was during the 1999 Champions League semi-final between Man United and Juventus, the first leg at Old Trafford. We went to the game, me and my dad and some family friends, and we went to pick up tickets before the game at the official hotel that the Juventus team was staying at. So we got to meet all the Juventus players. It was brilliant. I've got video of all that. I'm I'm going to dig that out and share it with everyone at some point. Calzaghe was there with his agent at the team hotel because he wanted to meet the players. We met him. It was the first time we met him. My dad sold him some tickets for the game, and because my dad had some spares, and he sat next to us during the game with Juventus fans. And during the game, there was a group of English fans in front of us who were being really racist. Basically, they were like discriminatory against Italians, shouting out all the usual stuff, eye-ties, spags, world wars, all this kind of stuff. So my dad lost it, and my dad, he doesn't take stuff like that. So he basically, he stood up to the guy, and he was going to beat the shit out of him, basically. And this all happened while Joe Calzaghe was sitting next to my dad. And at the time, Joe Calzaghe was the world champion. Or was it middleweight or super middleweight world champion at the time, just beating Chris Eubank. And he was, my dad was basically getting into a fight with a group of Man United fans, and Calzaghe just sat there and did nothing. He was just like, yeah. In the end, the stewards all come along and they chuck the English fans out of the stadium. Yeah. So that was quite amusing.
Who would you say was the best English?
Well, British. I think Calzaghe's definitely up there.
No, not British. English. Like, because Tyson Fury English?
Tyson Fury's English, yeah.
Anthony Joshua's English, right? I mean, he is. His dad is Nigerian.
Yeah,
but he was raised in Watford, isn't he? I mean, he represented England. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, Anthony Joshua is, yeah.
And Prince, what's his name? That Prince Nazim Hamed. He was funny. I liked him.
Yeah, he was a bit of he split people on whether you liked him as a person or not.
He was funny.
I don't know who the greatest English boxer is. Greatest English boxers was. I'll have to think about that. Greatest British boxers. I think Calzaghe's definitely up there. I mean, he never lost. Incredible fighter. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I'll have to. I don't want to embarrass myself here because I'd need to think. I mean, Chris Eubank was brilliant. He was fantastic. He was beaten by Calzaghe. I'm cheating and I'm googling it just to get some reminders, and then I can tell you. I think
even I, who don't even particularly like boxing, remember some of these guys. I don't follow the sport. I don't.
I mean, Lennox Lewis, I think you could probably say is the greatest English heavyweight boxer of all time. I would say that. Yeah, I think Chris Eubank is up there. Chris Eubank is up there. Yeah.
You don't.
Also, from my lifetime, I'm going to go Chris Eubank. From my lifetime, what that I've actually watched. I'm a historian. I have watched a lot of fights from before my time. They're very easy to find as well. But I think, I would say Chris Eubank or Lennox Lewis from my lifetime. Maybe Tyson.
You're not
Fury
a big fan of Anthony Joshua, then?
No, he's not. He's not on that level. He's lost a lot of fights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. As for the Soviet Union, I mean, they did win the Euros, didn't they?
Yeah, Soviet Union in the 60s were fantastic. They
one of the greatest goalkeepers of all time, Lev Yashin.
Yeah, they won. They won in 1960. They were runners up in 64. They
and
were
88.
Semi-final in 68, and they only lost to Italy in the semis on a coin toss.
Yeah,
double-sided coin.
And 88.
Double-sided coin, allegedly, that Paquetti threw. No, I'm joking. But it was in Rome, so you never know. 88, they were great. 86,
they beat the Netherlands in the opening game, didn't they? And then they went to the final.
They were brilliant in 86 in Mexico. Yeah. They got cheated in a game against Belgium, where Belgium scored
Swedish referee.
2 offside goals. One of them was so far. One of them was literally about 10 yards offside. It was hilarious.
Yeah. And in 1990, Maradona stopped a goal with his hand. Another time, and again, Swedish referee, the same Swedish referee from '86.
Yeah, they had some good club teams. I mean, like the 1970s, Dynamo Kiev had a really great team in the 1970s. Yeah. So they did do pretty well.
They did all right.
Once the breakup happened, then they.
But also, you have to remember that it's not a summer sport country as such, is it? I mean, team sport wise. I mean, it's not like now back then. I mean, ice hockey just makes sense. Do you know what I mean? And indoor sports, indoor sports.
They were good. I mean, obviously there was widespread doping, but they're not the only ones. But there was.
Oh, the 1980s, the 1970s and 80s, during the height of the Cold War. I mean, just you don't need to be.
No, it wasn't just them. I mean, if you look at athletics, and the Cold War literally was systematic doping between both America and Soviet Union, because
between NATO and the Warsaw
Pact, that was massive. It was, because the two of them were so determined to beat the other, because it was like a win in politics to win the Olympics. So the systematic doping, but there was a lot of doping in football as well.
100%.
The Soviet Union definitely, but there was other countries as well in the West as well. Sure. I mean, West Germany. I mean, even Beckenbauer talked about it. Like, he was pretty open about it, like some of the stuff that they used to do. So
Right. Next question.
For Italy, though, by the way. My dad, I always remember my dad, when I was a kid, my dad, whenever there were draws for tournaments, this was after the breakup of the Soviet. My dad always used to say to my dad, who do you want, who should we get? Who do we want to get? Who do you want to avoid? My dad always used to say, just as long as we don't get Russia. And I go, why? He goes, because they're our bogey team. They always beat us. So we can never beat the Soviet Union. And they beat us in '88. They knocked us out of qualifying for '92. In the '60s, they gave us trouble. They were a bogey team for Italy, Russia, and Soviet Union.
They were. Next question, Daniel Ljungström says, hi guys, 2 questions for the pod. As you know, some big foreign investors have been hesitant to invest in clubs in Serie A due to all the chaos with stadiums, politics, etc. Do you think the same issue would apply to Juve? They own a modern stadium already, have next gen in place and a solid brand internationally. How attractive do you think they'd be if Elkan family decides to sell? And speaking of next gen, why don't Juve do what Real Madrid does, selling players but inserting buyback clauses? Juve have produced great talents in recent years. Far too many have been sold too early. By inserting buyback clauses, the club would get a plusvalenza when selling, whilst also be able to bring back the player if he explodes. Why aren't Italian clubs using this model more? The first question I think is interesting. I think Juve does have potential interest, but again, it comes back to the money. There's no revenue stream. It's not just Juve. It's every Italian club. Yeah, it's that.
The TV revenue is so pathetic, and it's declining every single year. That there is that attraction's not there, unfortunately, until you raise the revenue from TV and commercial. But they're kind of tied together in some ways. You're always going to have that problem.
Yeah.
As for next gen, this is a point that I brought up actually a few times in the last few weeks.
Yeah, you have.
I think they should do it. Although I was told by somebody that's with a financial background that actually understands finances, they apparently, if you put a buyback clause when selling a player, you can't actually register the plusvalenza until the buyback clause expires. Yeah, that's what I was told. Now I haven't confirmed that with anyone. If that is the case,
I haven't confirmed it either. I've heard this too, and it's very, very tricky. I need to look into this more.
If that's true, then I can understand why Italian clubs don't do that, because Italian clubs are constantly, every single summer, including the biggest ones like Juventus. I mean, Juventus have been the worst at this. They've just been abysmal. They're always fighting fires to try and get their books, the plusvalenza, the capital gains, not to make a minusvalenza, not to make a loss, summer on summer or with each transfer. So if you've got a player that you want to sell, well, you've got to make sure that you make that plusvalenza. Well, you can't put a buyback clause. And if you bought for example, Juventus need to sell Dusan Vlahovic for, I think, 20-25 million, not to make a capital loss on the player. Well, I mean, this wouldn't happen, but let's just pretend that Juventus sell Vlahovic to Milan for 20 million, but they decide to put a buyback clause in. Not that they want to put a buyback clause in for Vlahovic, but if they did, well, they can't register. If they can't register that 20 million until the buyback clause is expired, then that means they're going to make a 20 million capital loss on the player. So that's just not for Italian clubs. They cannot absorb that at all. So I think that explains a lot. Italian clubs are in such a bad financial state, and they just don't have enough money coming in that they can't afford to put buyback clauses in. And that would explain a lot, because I refuse to believe that Italian clubs are that stupid that they wouldn't put a buyback clause in a Dean Huijsen deal or
I have to look into this. I think it's one of those things where you can't. I think given that it's Italian law and Italian sports law, I think it's not that simple. I think it's you can count it, but then you can't count it if you buy him back. Or I have to look into this. I think it's much more. It's not that clear cut. I don't think it's that clear cut. I'd be very surprised if it is. So I'll have to look into that. But I agree with you as for the plusvalenza thing. But yeah, and the next gen. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Last question of the week, because, actually, we got a couple of more. Claudio Cauteruccio says, I couldn't agree with your response to my question in that modern music is effing awful. This is why Oasis reforming for this tour is so important, so big. There will never be another big band bigger than them. That's why it was so special Saturday. And I'm going to have to go again. Nice one, boys. Just to be clear, I did say, yeah, he's a good friend of both of us. But just to be clear, I did say that I think we're talking mainstream music here, like commercial, what's on the charts. Yeah,
commercial and English language music.
Yeah, exactly. Not because I think there's so much good
you really
music.
Like Italian.
Yeah, but no. But I think the difference I was going to get to that. The difference is, of course, that I think that mainstream Italian music is actually going through a golden age. The stuff that's on the top charts in Italy right now by Italian artists is unbelievable. But we were talking about the mainstream top chart, English language music, and that's not very good. Whilst there's lots of good music being done in English, it's just not. It's not just mainstream, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just to put that out there. Next question. Petter Jensen says, "Hi, question for the pod. Carlo said last week that Ferrari was in shambles. However, financially, they're in excellent shape. In fact, they're by far the most valuable car maker in Europe, and Ferrari's success comes largely from masterfully branding of luxury and exclusivity. What if Serie A learned from that and created its own Super League? Here's the format. Serie A is reduced to 10 teams, resulting in 19 match days per season. The Scudetto is awarded as usual, but the European spots and relegation would be determined by a rolling point system over several years, which needs to be developed. Additionally, clubs would need to meet strict infrastructural standards to participate in the league. I've got plenty of reasons why this could work. Curious if you guys land in the same place. Just to be clear, you were referring to Ferrari in Formula One, right?
Yeah.
Not the brand,
not the car.
Yeah. Just to
not
be
commercial.
Clear.
Yeah. Cars.
And as for
even Lewis Hamilton, I saw come out a few days ago, basically saying that, basically offering for them to rip up his contract, which was quite amusing. I mean, it is a mess. They make Juventus look like European champions, Ferrari, right now. Like that's how bad. And I'll be honest, I'm not even like I'm not. I like Formula One, but I'm not. I'm more of a casual fan of Formula One now than I used to. I used to watch it a lot as a kid. I used to love it as a kid, but Formula One's become too safe now, which is a horrible thing to say. But since it's become too safe, I find it boring. I liked it when it was dangerous, when because you got more crashes and more overtakings, and it was more exciting. Now it's so safe, Formula One, that it's just boring for me. But regardless, yeah, it's a shambles.
I agree. As for the 10 club, no, 10 team, no, and no. I want to go back to the 18 team Serie A. Keep it simple. I want to have I want to go back to the 18 team Serie A. I think 20.
What was it that you sent me the other day from who was it? Was it Simonelli? You were trying to wind me up. You sent me. what was it? Remind me. Who was it?
I can't remember. Did I share it in the pod chat?
It was a quote from Simonelli. He dreams of playing the first game of the Serie A
in America. Yeah, the first round of the Serie A in America.
Yeah.
No, I want an 18-team Serie A. I want them to actually start, getting new stadiums built. I want them to be. There should be a pathway for youth, Italian youth, to the teams. I want them to do the stuff like basics right. You don't need to reinvent the wheel and have some sort of an average point standard, and like that's just no. You don't need to overcomplicate things. 18-team Serie A. Make the product in the sense that put it into the rights, create a media company, put all the rights to the Serie A in that media company, put it externally so that someone who actually knows what the hell they're doing comes in, builds it, markets it, sells it, the same way the Premier League is done, to come to this point, and just stuff like that. I don't think we need to reinvent the league and create the Serie A Super League. I think that's just, it's too much. But the infrastructure issue needs to be addressed. We can't have these stadiums that look like they were built they were built after the Second World War. I mean, like some of these.
I've got time for a couple more questions, Nima. If you want to ask two more, then I need to run.
Cool. So that's that. Right. I want to ask. Right. Next question. Two more before just to be clear, the remainders of the questions will add to next week. Jamie Drum says, "Hi guys, this week's question is: which are the best managers in your lifetime that replaced a manager that had a very successful and dominant manager and maintained the level of success at the club or country? For example, Nima is hoping Kivu falls into the category replacing Inzaghi."
I think one has to be
Capello replacing Sacchi,
and I think probably Max Allegri replacing Conte. If you're going on success, both of those two managers,
and Mourinho replacing Mancini.
Yeah.
At Inter, yeah. Mourinho replacing Mancini, Allegri replacing Conte, Capello replacing Sacchi. Who else?
Yeah, I think we've got. Yeah, I think that covers it. I can't think of any others because you're kind of thinking of not dynasties, but like following success with success. I can't think of any others.
Well, I mean, Simone Inzaghi on Antonio Conte is a good example as well. He did have success after Conte left.
Yeah. But didn't win anything straight away, did it? Or didn't win the Scudetto first season, yeah. But as a whole, as a reign, yeah.
I think that's a good one. Who else?
I think those are the main ones.
Yeah. And then we have Pouya Marvasti, who says, "Hi team, is it finally time to give Bremer the armband? He's our present and our future, vocal, fearless and consistent, the kind of leader Juve has lacked for years. I grew up with Chiellini, Buffon, Del Piero and Conte. Since then, no identity. Bremer with a full season and no injuries can be the best defender in the world. How many players in the squad can we even call world class right now? We must build around him. Yildiz and Thuram, curious to hear what you think."
Possibly, yeah. I think there's an argument if he can prove himself to go back to those levels. After an ACL, and once he's proved himself, I think that the captain has to be someone that has the qualities of a captain, has the leadership qualities, has the respect of his players, has a certain level of experience as well, which I think Bremer does. But also, and this is important, that the captain has to be a player also that's good as a player. Like, when you get players that are captains just because they're experienced, the Italian way, just because they've been at the club for ages and they're experienced, they get the captain's armband, yet they're not really very good. And I never like that. I think the player has to be one of your better players as well, or at least be of a high level if he's not one of your better players. So like when Milan had like Calabria as captain, or Inter had Ranocchia as captain.
Milan had Mexes. That one of the worst derbies I've ever seen in my life is Ranocchia and Mexes as captains.
Yeah,
that's
what I mean though. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't look right. It's not inspiring in the right way. And so Bremer, yes, providing he can get back to his levels, and I think he has those qualities, the captain qualities as well. I think Thuram does as well. But he's younger, and so I think Bremer absolutely though needs to be a permanent captain. None of this bollocks from last season with Thiago Motta moving the armband around game after game. I mean, what the hell was that all about? I mean, that was bizarre, wasn't it? I don't know if I've ever seen anyone do that before. Bizarre.
Yeah, no, we've seen that at Inter as well. This captain during that season when Handanovic's place was in limbo, and then Skriniar's contract was expiring, and blah blah blah. It was chaos. I don't like that. The captain's armband is not like musical chairs. You name a captain and you stick to it. It's really that simple, in my opinion. So right, that's almost 90 minutes of pod, or actually it is 90 minutes now. The remaining questions that are here, we'll do them for next week. Most of them are, or actually all of them actually are timeless and evergreen, so it's not time what do you call it, they won't be out of date when we add them for next week. So we will be, but in the meantime, those of you who want to send questions, because we had lots of questions, please do send them in via DM on Patreon, and make sure to send them in before Monday every week. We'll add them and we'll answer them, and we'll be back next week, hopefully with a Mercato deep dive. I don't want to confirm just yet who it is, because I haven't worked out with him, because it's Ferragosto in Italy, and yeah, if you know anything about Ferragosto in Italy, Carlo's laughing. Yeah, Carlo's laughing because he knows what that means.
Nobody works for a week before or a week after.
Yeah, exactly. So it is a bit difficult.
And Italy have to lose their September internationals every single year because of the refusal to start the season earlier because of Ferragosto.
Yeah, so so it bear with me here. So I'm working on it. We're going to have someone, and we want to do one as well. It's going to be on Inter. I'm working on the details with the person I have in mind, but we'll see. But do please send in your questions via DM on Patreon, and thank you for keeping them to 100 words or less. It really makes us go through as many. I mean, today we went through 22 questions, or 23 questions actually, I think it was in the end. So that makes it easier and more fast-paced and easier to listen to. So yeah, until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Ciao, ciao.